Hello guys, in this video we use the syncvars to synchronize the name of the players throughout the internet to the connection. So to do this, first we need to make a canvas to show the player name. So I will open the player here and I will create a UI canvas. Set this canvas, I will name it player name canvas, just to be exact. I will put it scale with green, but actually I don't need it because I will change to world space. Exactly. So now I just need to reset the position and resize it. Let me see where it is. It's too big, so let me do this manually. Press F, and inside it I will put a Text Mesh Pro text. Call it player name. Your name here. I make a little big just to see. Bold 1, 2. Let's see. Centralize it, and it's still big. More one thing, come to here and make it occupy all the canvas. And now let's change the font size here to fit the space we want. Let's see. I think that's a good size. Let's see the position here. 0, 0, 180. It's okay. And I think the name could be a little bigger, like this. Okay. Now we can create 2 scripts. Or even better, let me create the input field where we will input our name when the game starts. So let's create a canvas here. Input name canvas, and I'll make it scale with the screen size. I'll let everything like this. And I will put input text. First I will put let me put it aside. Let me put image first, just to make a small background. Name it name background. Let's take like this color here. Press 2D, press F, and we can scale it. Okay, inside it I will put, not inside, I will put input field here, input field Text Mesh Pro, name input field. Let me put it here and make a button. Button. Resize it. I will change it for enter or Okay. Let me just set it a little down and create a little one more text. This will be the title and name, bold, maybe 50. Just you can make, we can do whatever we want. I made mine like this, and for me it's good. Okay, and now I can create. I remove this simple camera control that is come from with the URP 3D example, so I remove it. We can create a names folder here, player name. Inside it we can create a script called input player name, so we can get the player name. Inside it we'll have a serialized field, and we need to use the using Text Mesh Pro, because we will take the Text Mesh Pro input field and name input, and let's remove this. Let's create a function here, a public void setup name. Let's remove this start function here. This function will be called when we press the enter button. So I will use a delegate here to send a message to broadcast the other scripts that we change the name. So it's a public delegate, call it player setup name, and I forget to put it as a void, and we need to call it public static player setup, and I just call it with the lowercase, starting with the lowercase here, close it, and I invoke it here. If you don't know the delegates, this is just a way that when we press this button, we call this function pressing the button from the inputs. When we press the enter button, this method will be called, and inside this method we are calling another method that is a delegate, and this delegate will propagate our information to other scripts that will be subscribed to this delegate here. So let's do this first so you can understand better, and we create a new script here. Let's call it player name. So this script player name will be inside the canvas in the player, and input player name will be inside the input name canvas that is inside the scene. Just let me remove this. Let's create on and enable. When working with delegates, we need to use on enable, so we need to subscribe, like when you are subscribing to my channel, so you need to press the button subscribe, and we do this making on enable and calling the script you want. So in this case is input player name dot player name setup, the name of the function. We we press the plus equals. This plus equals is the same way as saying that we are subscribing to this method, and we need to pass it another method. So this method will be called when we subscribe. It's like when you subscribe to my channel and YouTube send you a notification when you are at home saying that my new video comes out and you need to see. So we need to make a function here. I will call it setup name on client. You understand better in a moment what is happening here, why I call it setup name on client. And just need to pass like this, doesn't need to use the parentheses here. And we need to unsubscribe in the end on the disable method. So when we use it and we are not using anymore, we just unsubscribe, putting the minus sign here. And we need to put this interrogation mark here, because if anybody is subscribed to the channel, in this case to this method, if it is not here, it will throw an error. So the C# create this kind of thing just to avoid this. If anybody is subscribed, it will not run the invoke method here, but if somebody is subscribed, it will run. It's just because of that. And inside the setup, we need to pass the name for what we want. So remember that inside the player prefab here, we have the text. Okay, it's a text mesh pro, and if you look here, we have the player name, that is a text mesh pro. So we need to have a reference to it. So we'll put a serialized field here. We need to call it a using text mesh pro and text mesh pro GUI player name. And now comes the part where we need to synchronize the data between the server and the client. So when we put a name, so if we have a player A and it put its name, when a player B join the game in the future, the name will be synchronized for player B, because the way we are doing now, just the player A will see the update. So for that we need to use the syncvar, and I'll explain more when we finish writing it. So for this we need to use the syncvar attribute, and we need to use a network here, network. This is from fishnet.object, and this one is from Fishnet synchronization, object synchronization. Okay, it's missing this, and of course we need to pass the string we need here, in this case username or player name, username. I will put text here, and I'll put player name here. Now what we are telling to the server is that he needs to watch out for this variable. So the server will be watching this variable from now on. And inside the setup name, when we press the enter button, we need just to take the player name text.text and make it equal to player name. I just messed up something here. For this we need to make a void setup name on server. This is why we need to make a setup on client and on server. On the server, this one is passed here, and this one will be passed here, because syncvars has some parameters that it can receive. For example, here in my ebook I have some explanations. You can see here we have the syncvar. We can use just like that, but we can use like that too, with a bunch of parameters, and we can use just one parameter per time, or two, or any quantity we want. And for now we are using this one change. This is a callback, so if you watch the old videos you know that what means a callback. And we need to pass some values here. So if you want to see more about this documentation, just become my Patreon. I will put a link in the description, so you can have this and another files that we are creating in these tutorials. So this is it. Let's come back to the code, and here we'll make a on change, and it has a type of, and in this type of we can pass this setup on client, and the setup on client now needs as we see, it needs 3 parameters. In this case my parameters will be the type of string, because we are receiving a string here, just to change the name. This is the old name. You can put whatever name you want. So but what means is the first parameters are old value, this is the new value, so new name, and we have one parameter that is a bool, and as server. In my documentation all these terms have some explanation. We can put the new parameter here and set up the player text with the new parameter. Let me close. I'm sorry, it's not type of, it's name of, because it's the name of the function. And we are just missing one more thing, actually two. To update the syncvar, we need to do it inside the server. To make it inside the server, we need to call this method here inside the server. When we press the enter button, we'll call the setup name on server, and it will run inside the server. To run inside the server, we need to use another tag here. So we'll use the server RPC. And the server RPC, when we put it here, it is telling the network to run this method inside the server and not inside the client. So it is very easy to understand. And once that we are running inside the server, we can change the syncvar. So in this case, we can change the player name. And to change this, we need to pass from somewhere the name. So we receive it from here. But to receive it, we need to tell the delegate inside the input to send it. So here we will tell it that we are sending a name, and we can pass the name here, and the name is be the name input.text. So trying to look all the picture now. Let's see what is happening. So when the player press the enter button here after enter some name, the method setup name will be called. It will call a delegate in passing throughout the delegate the name input text that we gather from the UI, and the method setup name on server is listen to this delegate and receiving the name and put the name inside the syncvar. The syncvar is inside, let's imagine that is inside the server, so the server can make and hold it and distributed throughout all the clients. And using this on change, that is telling that when the player name variable is changing, anytime it change, call this on change, that call the setup name on client. And we will call the setup name on client. This function needs to have 3 parameters all the time when you are calling on change here like this. We need to have 3 parameters. The first one is the old value, so I call it old name as type string because we work with a string. But if it was another type like a bool or float or int, we need to do the same. And in this case, as we know that the new name is the new name, of course, and so we can use it here. And I prefer to use like this. The functions return for us the argument new name, so we use it. And we can use the as server too, but we are not using this case. And the player name inside over the player head will be updated, and we can see the names. Let's test it and see if it is working. First, we need to set up the scripts. I will put the input player name inside the input player canvas and pass it the input field. In the button, I will create a space for a button and take the canvas and setup name. I think this is the name. Setup name. And inside the player, we need to do the same. Player name. And in the player name, we just need to pass the text we need. Inside the input canvas, inside the button, we need to put one more just to disable the input canvas. So come to game object, set active, and to false. We need to come to build settings, player settings. Yours will probably be full screen windowed, so change to windowed and choose a resolution. I choose 600 by 400. Now we can build and run. Just choose a folder called build that you created here. Let's close this. We can create a new instance of the game just coming where your game is. Inside the build, we can present the executable. Let's put it here. This one I will put down, and I will use the editor as the server. I can put my name, and it will be inside the server. Let's move it to the left, and you see that this name will be synchronized into the other users. So let me enter like a client here, and the first user here, you can see that is called 111, and of course we are behind this name, but we can see that your name is here, is being used for now, but we can change it for 222 and enter, and it will be synchronized too. So as you can see, it's all being it is being synchronized throughout the network. And let's see this last one. The last one will enter like a client, and we'll call it 333, and okay, we are having all the clients here. Let me put it more close. So now we can see that all the clients are synchronized with the names respectively. So we can move them. It's all right. So guys, this is it for today. If you like the video, please subscribe to the channel, give me a like to the video, because it helps a lot the channel to grow, and we can make more videos like this and learn how to make networks and much more that is coming into this series and other videos inside the channel. So I will see you in the next video. Cheers.